Hey, fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. I'm Michael Pachter. I'm doing this on my own. I don't work for anybody that cares, so don't worry about that. Hope you are watching as a Patreon patron. If so, thank you for your patronage. We appreciate that you guys are supporting us. It keeps Shane in enough cash to be able to gas up his car, come to my house, and film these things. If you are a Twitch Prime user, Amazon Prime member, you can link your Twitch Prime account to your Amazon Prime account. The instructions on how to do that are in the show description. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can support us on YouTube. All of those methods allow you to see these episodes a week early, right when we put them up. Otherwise, you have to wait to watch on YouTube. And if you can't afford it, or you just don't find any value in this, stop watching. If you don't find any value in it, then just follow me on Twitter at Michael Pachter. Our question today from Shifted from Zero Kaiser. Do you think Call of Duty can live as a Game Pass game? If everyone is getting it essentially for free, how will Microsoft have to change it to ensure it's generating a real return on the investment? How should Microsoft change it while avoiding backlash from fans? I think your premise is wrong. Microsoft's return on investment is that they will sell more Game Pass subscriptions. And I don't think Microsoft is looking at Call of Duty and thinking, okay, we have 25 million Game Pass subscribers, let's say 10 million of them buy Call of Duty, and if we give it away for free, Call of Duty sales drop 10 million, so that costs us $500 million a year. That is not how they think about it. They think if Call of Duty and Starfield and Diablo and World of Warcraft are all, and we can go on, Elder Scrolls 6 if it ever comes out. If we have 20 or 30 games on here, we're going to go from 25 million Game Pass subscribers to 50 million. And the incremental 25 million people that we add are paying us $180 a year that we're not getting right now. So, we're going to generate whatever the hell that is, $4.5 billion a year. It's a big number. We're going to generate $4.5 billion. And sure, our Call of Duty sales will drop by 500 million, BFD. But we're going to make $4.5 billion instead. And obviously, every other game I mentioned, their sales will drop as well. But Microsoft's looking at this as a long-term business. And I got to say, I remember I used to buy a PC every 2 or 3 years, because every 2 or 3 years my graphics card needed upgrading, and the price of PCs kept coming down. So I remember PCs went from $3,000 to $2,000 to $1,000, and when they crossed $1,000, I would buy a new PC every 2 or 3 years just because it was just not worth it to upgrade components, and I did. And I remember each time I would buy Microsoft Office for $400, and I remember one year, and it was probably 2010, and Microsoft offered me Office 365 for $99 a year. So they would rather have $100 a year from me for the rest of my life than wait for me to buy a new PC and get $400. And I think Microsoft looks at Game Pass the same way. Call of Duty, when you see Call of Duty selling, say, 20 million units, that's literally, 2 million people who buy it every year, and 4 million people who buy it every 2 years, and 6 million people who buy it every 3 years, and 8 million people who buy it every 4 years, and 10 million people who buy it every 5 years. When we add it up, there's 20 million units. And when you add up all those numbers, whatever that is, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, that's 30 million or 40 million, whatever it is. It's a lot more people. So there literally are 40 million people who buy Call of Duty. They just don't buy it every year. And Microsoft's looking at this as Game Pass, and they're like, well, what if we get all 40 million of them to be Game Pass subscribers because they play other games? That really might work. I think Microsoft's goal is to be like Netflix. I think their goal is to have 200 million subscribers. And I think the way that they're going to get there is to continue to offer more and more and more content, and to bring in games like, really easy one, Grand Theft Auto Online. GTA Online right now requires you to buy GTA, but let's be real, Take-Two is not selling very many copies of GTA anymore. Maybe 5 million copies at $20. But if they put that game on Game Pass, and all 25 million people on Game Pass suddenly can play GTA Online, Take-Two's going to make more than $100 million off of that. And so I think you're going to get, everything. Apex Legends should be on there. I know it's free, but make it part of Game Pass. Fortnite should be there. Make it part of Game Pass. And I think that ultimately Microsoft doesn't think about the unit economics on each game. They're thinking about the aggregate business and building a business that's going to be $10 billion a year in revenue from a subscription. Netflix is like 40. I mean, you can get there. And you can get there at high margin if you own a lot of the content. You can get there at high margin paying out 65% of revenue if you attract a lot of third-party content. And once they get to 100 million subscribers, and let's forget the Xbox Live piece, let's just go with the $10 a month for the content. If you pay out $650 a month, times 12 is, so call it $75, $78 a year. If you pay out, $78 times 100 million customers, you're paying out $7-8 billion in content fees. You're going to attract a lot of content. I mean, people are going to want to be on there if there's that kind of checks going on. That's how Netflix did it. As their revenue went up and up and up, they paid more for content, and more people were willing to furnish content to them. So I think Microsoft's going to continue to attract content. I don't think they have to own it all. I think you're going to get, like I said, the free-to-play games that you think about, like I can play Overwatch 2 anyway, or I can play Apex, or I can play, GTA Online. Put them all on there anyway, and just never let the guy leave the ecosystem. And imagine if Microsoft said to Take-Two, we don't care if the user ever spends a penny in GTA Online. If he plays 10 hours a week, and 2 hours of that 10 hours on our service is your game, we're going to give you 20% of the royalties we pay out, because he's engaged with your game. So you can take free-to-play games and get paid for them if that's what people are playing. So I actually think it's a brilliant model, and I think it's going to thrive. Hope that answered your question. I don't think Microsoft needs to change Call of Duty at all. It'll still be the same premium $60 game, $70 game. It'll still have the same Call of Duty Warzone, Call of Duty Mobile linkage, weapon advancement or accomplishments or achievements. But the game, they're going to still try to make a great game every year that sells every year. Everybody's not going to subscribe to Game Pass. There are going to be people who only play one game, Call of Duty. And if you only play Call of Duty, $60. What they do have to do in Game Pass is make sure that the multiplayer works for everybody. And I got to say, Shannon and I talked about the latency of Game Pass. If you are a multiplayer player on a console or PC, and you're playing with a guy who's on a latent stream server, you're going to kick his ass. You'll see him. You'll kill him before he sees you. I mean, I think the appeal of Game Pass and the appeal of console is that you play on your TV, which is a great screen and you can see. And I think that what the console aficionado is missing here, the console aficionado says anybody who wants to play a AAA game has to buy a console, and so by definition those guys are hardcore because they spent $400 or $500 on a console. Microsoft's saying, okay, what about, so however many consoles get sold, 200 million, 250 million in a cycle. What about the other 2 billion households who don't have a console? How many of those people would play a game? And the answer is at least 500 million. I mean, it's a big number. And I say that because, those people who are watching now who are over 40, if you're over 40 and you don't have kids at home, do you have a console? I know you're watching me, so you're more likely to be a console owner, but you might not have a console. And if you play less and less and less, which you do as you get older, and you get distracted and you play more free to play, you play more mobile and whatever, if you're just a FIFA player or just a Call of Duty player, it's hard to justify upgrading a console every cycle, and you don't. So how many lapsed gamers are there on the planet? At least 250 million. And then how many gamer wannabes are there who never owned a console because they couldn't afford it? At least 250 million. And all I'm saying is, if you remove the $400 or $500 barrier to entry to play console games, if you just eliminate that, How many people will pay as they go? And I think you and I have talked about this before. How many people buy their cell phones? Not that many. Most people pay $30 a month, and they get the mobile phone service and they get a phone. They pay $30 a month extra to get their phone. So they pay $350 a year for their phone instead of $1,000 up front. How many people pay cash for cars? No, payment. So think about console gaming that way. And Microsoft's already tried this. They have that, I forgot what they call it, but they have that pay-as-you-go, get an Xbox every couple of years.
All access.
Yeah. But you pay like $30 a month and you get a new Xbox Series X and you get Game Pass and whatever. It might be $40 a month. But they have that bundle. There's a market for that. Do I think that it's 50 million people? No, because most people don't want the frickin' Xbox. But if you said, here's the new bundle, $15 a month, period, and it works on your TV. And by the way, commit for a year. Just sign up for 1 year. We'll send you a free controller. They haven't done that yet. They're going to do that, right? So my bias is there's hundreds of millions of people who would do it. What happens if you say, buy a controller, we'll sell you a package. For $50, you get a controller for free and 3 months access to Xbox Game Pass without a console. How many people would do that? A $50 entry fee, and you get 3 months of Xbox Game Pass included for $50. Now you have a controller. People will do it. I mean, they will. So I think Microsoft could be really smart about this. How about bundling it with a new TV sale? I mean, anybody have a car that came with Sirius XM? Because I do. The last 3 cars I've purchased had Sirius XM bundled with it for 3 months. Well, what is Sirius XM? Oh, you have to have the satellite receiver in your car. They put it in, so why not put all that in your TV? Microsoft will bundle. Trust me, they will. So their deal with Samsung, they haven't done it yet, but they will. And again, I have a patent on the controller in my name. You guys can do a reverse patent search under Pachter. I think I have like 5 now. I have a whole bunch of patents, but I really do. But I have the controller that works with this. I'm going to try to sell it to Microsoft. So anybody from Xbox watching this, I have the controller solution for you that you're going to give away for free. I think this thing is a massive winner. And I think there are hundreds of millions of people who would consider it. And if you think about the cost of Game Pass, why is it 15? Why can't it be 10? Why can't it be 5? Why can't you have Game Pass, gold, platinum, and diamond, and have different tiers with different games? How about $5 a month and all you get is old catalogs, just to get people hooked, and $10 a month and you get all games but on a 6-month delay. You don't get day and date releases of Halo or Call of Duty, but for $15 a month you get everything. Why not? There's so many ways to hook people into trying this that Microsoft's not stupid. They're going to do it. I will tell you that Best Buy has some ridiculous number, like 10 million or so subscribers to their $200 a year all the visits you want plan for the Geek Squad. So there are that many people. Casual players don't play one game. They play every game poorly. They don't play one game. They play a lot of games.
I don't know.
I do. People don't like to be boxed in. That's like saying
that's why they want to pay for a subscription.
No, but that's like saying there's a music fan who only listens to Kenny Chesney. It's just there isn't. And there isn't a movie fan who only watches Marvel movies. There isn't. That's what their favorite is.
Games are different though, Pac. They're interactive. They're completely different.
But they're not different because if nobody likes only one game. That person doesn't exist.
They do. There are people who only play Call of Duty.
Well, Call of Duty maybe because it's
that's what this question's about.
Maybe because it's a force of nature.
Yeah.
But I don't even think that. I think we'll find that guy. Let's have them post on the website and tell us that they've never played any other game but Call of Duty and they're perfectly satisfied. It's sort of like the monogamous marriage, I guess those people exist. All right, thanks for joining us on Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. If you're a Patreon patron or you are supporting us as a YouTube subscriber, thank you so much for your patronage. If you are not doing either of those things and you're a Prime member, please remember to link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. The instructions are in the show description. And if you're doing none of those things, we're getting no money from you. You are a burden on our existence. You're getting this a week late, but I insist, since I don't get paid, that you guys get it for free too, at a minimum. Follow me on Twitter. You can read my post today. I have 672 candy bars, full-size candy bars for Halloween. I'm going to be that house. You should be that house too. If you can't afford to support SIFTD or Pachter Factor, buy full-size candy bars and give them out to kids for Halloween, because they'll remember, and it's a cool thing. It's a cool thing growing up. Getting a full-size candy bar makes kids very happy. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.